Alright, this is John Colo with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. And in this episode, we're going to figure out once and for all, what's the best Tribest juicer for juicing celery. I do a video on YouTube called What's the Best Juicer for Juicing Celery, and I use a high-speed juicer. In that video, a Breville juicer. I use a low-speed auger horizontal juicer, which is actually the Omega juicer in that video, and a vertical juicer, Omega juicer in that video, and the Green Star Pro in that video to determine what is the best juice for celery. But I show Omega juicers. Actually, both those Omega juicers, the NC800 and the VSJ843, are out of stock at this time and have been out of stock for some time. And Omega juicers are currently experiencing inventory shortages and inventory issues, in my personal opinion, as well as a decline in customer service due to COVID, although I think they're pretty much handling their business now, although at a certain period of time it was actually quite not good. I'm not exactly sure all those reasons, but here's the thing. Tribest has been pretty much tried and true with the inventory. While they do have some outages, sometimes it's usually, easily within 30 days, they are, back on track. And more importantly, based on my experience and some customer feedback, they have higher level of warranty service for my customers after the sale. So that's very important to me. So in this video, I've never compared these three juicers in one video for juicing celery. And I want to share with you guys what Tribest juicer you want to go with if you want to get a juicer today, so that you don't have to wait for an Omega juicer to be back in stock, if or even when it will be back in stock, because the dates are actually moving targets. I was notified that the VSJ would be in stock on this date, and then now it's moving, and previously it keeps changing, and then people just can't get the machine. So that's no fun to do. Hopefully Omega's not having some financial problems and go out to business. But I'd like to say that Tribest has been in business now for over 30 years, although they've been selling juicers since like the 1990s. So that's actually a fairly long time to be selling juicers in the market. They came out with their flagship twin gear juicer, and ever since then they've been improving and coming out with new models. The Green Star Pro is the latest model. And there's some benefits to this. Of course, there are other benefits to having a auger style juicer, such as these styles over here. Each style, all these machines are slow juicers. I'm not a fan of the high-speed juicers, the juicers that sound like an airplane taking off in your kitchen. They lower the nutritional quality in the juice based on scientific studies, and while you will have a juice fast, you're going to lose some of the nutrients in there, in my personal opinion. I'm also not a fan of blending celery and then straining it out, because you do also massive oxidative damage to the produce that you're juicing, so that you will have less phytonutrients and phytochemicals, including the antioxidants, which are some of the most important elements of the juice that you are extracting. Furthermore, I have seen studies done by Tribest showing that the Green Star Pro pulls out more minerals than other juicers that they tested in that test. And that's actually quite impressive, and that's because of the technology. It uses two gears, grinding, crushing, and squeezing, and actually pulling minerals out. It actually also has a far infrared and magnetic in the gear, which is said to help pull things out more effectively. Plus, it also does a really good job compared to other slow juicers in grinding up and extracting out nutrition. Meanwhile, these guys, which are known as single auger style juicers, this style, the horizontal single auger style, came out first. And I will say, based on all other horizontal auger juicers, the Solostar 4 is actually probably the most advanced juicer, because it actually has the longest auger, the most screen area. It's a dual stage crushing and juicing screen, and it just works really well. And it's hard to beat this horizontal auger in terms of yield and performance, if you're looking for just the most yield. So this test will be very interesting to see which one of these juicers makes the most juice. Now, on the middle, we have the Slowstar juicer. This is a vertical single auger juicer. And honestly, the vertical style juicer is my favorite juicer as my go-to juicer in general. If I could only own one juicer, and I own like over 20 juicers, and I have a juicer for every different particular task, and if you notice, this juicer is stained with like, you know, some kind of yellow orange. That's the turmeric, because this is my go-to machine for when I'm juicing my ginger, turmeric, ginseng, you know, juices. That actually, those ingredients are quite expensive, so I want to get the maximum nutrition out of them. That's when I'm choosing this juicer. This juicer, on the other hand, is pretty much if you just want to juice a wide variety of things. If you want to juice, make straight fruit juices, you want to juice fruits, you want to juice leafy greens, you want to juice vegetables, this juicer will pretty much do it all, and it's pretty hassle-free, whereas each of these style juicers, you know, specialize in juicing certain items or not. So I'll go over which one of these juicers is best for certain items. So for example, I would choose the horizontal auger juicer if I want to juice mostly things like wheatgrass and sprouts and microgreens. Also leafy green vegetables and fibrous you know, vegetables such as celery or stock vegetable. They do quite well in this machine because you just put that through the juicer and it juices it right up, it grinds it up and makes a nice juice out of it. Now, while this juicer will also juice things like root vegetables such as carrots and beets, it will not get the highest yield as compared to the Green Star Pro, but it will juice them just fine. Now on the flip side, if you want to just juice straight pineapples, you know, straight pineapple juice with this style machine, this style machine does not juice pineapples when juiced alone that well. But if you're juicing pineapples with carrots or pineapples with another, you know, even celery, something hard and firm, it'll help push that soft pulp through. So this really deals with fibers really well, but it does not deal with softer produce items such as straight fruits. That being said, if you're making a juice with pineapple with carrots or pineapple with celery, it's going to work fine, so don't worry about this unless you're maybe doing like 80% pineapple and 20% celery or carrots. You know, a good balance for this machine would be like at least 50-50, half fruit, half vegetables, and then you're going to be fine. So you're like thinking, John, if I just want to juice straight fruit juices, because sometimes I want a straight cantaloupe juice, right? What juicer would I choose? Well, I would choose the Slowstar juicer. This is the most versatile juicer. While it will juice wheatgrass like this guy, you do need to pre-cut your wheatgrass in little pieces. Also, things like greens and celery should be pre-cut into 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch pieces for optimal results. Otherwise, this machine will clog and jam. So for that reason, you know, if you don't want to pre-cut your produce, get one of these other machines where you don't have to pre-cut produce. But on the flip side, I like that this machine, you drop things in the feed chute that are pre-cut and pretty much it sucks it in and you know, juices it on up and the pulp flows out. Whereas on these machines, you must use pushers to push the produce items into the juicers in general. And this juicer will also juice things like straight pineapple and straight fruits the best. That being said, if you have softer, older apples that are getting soft and you juice it in this machine, it'll make more of an apple sauce, you know, than a juice. So it's going to be a lot more thick and rich. Honestly, the best, absolute best juicer for juicing straight fruits is something like a pure juicer, which basically grinds and presses out the fruits. Fruits have a very soft texture that can be difficult for slow juicers to extract the juice out of unless they are nice, hard, and firm. This machine will also juice carrots, and I like how it juices carrots because you can take a carrot, drop it in here, it basically pulls it on in, it's auto-feeding on its own, and then it juices it right up and has a nice, strong, powerful motor to create all your juice. Now this machine in my testing does produce more pulp in the juice than other vertical juices I've tested, but it does include a sieve so that you can remove it if you'd like. So yeah, this is just the all-around good performer if you want to juice a little bit of everything, not focus on anything in particular. This machine, and it's going to do a pretty well-rounded job all the way around, all right? Then over on the Green Star Pro, this is a commercial machine, although you can get the home model, which is the Green Star Elite, which is a little bit less money. This one has all stainless steel gears, which is actually a feature I like because it makes cleaning easier. Also, there's about 10 things different with the Green Star Pro over the Elite. I'll put a link down below to the video that I made regarding that if I remember. But yeah, this machine has 2 twin gears, and if you want to juice mostly things like root vegetables and you know, stock vegetables like celery, this is the go-to machine for that. This will probably out-yield, especially on the root vegetables, these two guys on this side easily. It's going to perform well at celery. It juices greens amazingly. That being said, if you're juicing greens with vegetables, that's where I recommend this machine. If you're juicing straight greens, this machine tears up greens. It has pocket recessed teeth, and it cuts off all the strings, even maybe extracting more nutrients out of the juice for you guys. And if you're juicing straight leafy greens, then this juicer tends to make a bit more foam than like the Solostar 4. So if you're doing straight greens, then maybe not on this guy. But if you want to do carrot-based juices, like if you're on a Gerson therapy, this is the machine I would choose even over a Norwalk or Pure Juicer. I believe this machine to get actually a higher quality juice with more active phytonutrients in the juice. This machine is not the juicer you want to get if you want to juice straight fruits either. While it does handle fruits maybe a little bit better than this guy if they're straight, for the most part, fruits should be rotated with hard vegetables as well. So, this is kind of more of the roots / greens juicer. This is more of the all-around juicer, and this juicer specializes in things like wheatgrass. I think in a video I juice like 11 flats of wheatgrass in this juicer. I'll put a link down below to that video if you're curious to see it. So that's how these machines are all a little bit different. Now I want to go into a few more things about each machine. So these machines on the ends, the GreenStar Pro and the Solostar 4 has the longest warranty in the juicing industry, right? 15-year warranty on these machines, which are actually quite impressive because basically that means you won't have to buy another juicer again. Whereas on the Slowstar here, it has a 10-year warranty, which is still quite respectable because many juicers you might get on a random big box store in a local store, and you might have only a 90-day or maybe 1-year warranty if you're lucky. I mean, Tribest is putting its money where its mouth is because they know these machines are durable. Now, the other thing I'd like to say about all these three juicers is that they are multi-function juicers. So besides just juicing, these machines can also make nut milk. Tribest has a video showing how to make nut milk in their various machines on YouTube. Actually, you can check out. I haven't tried to make nut milk in some of these machines because I usually use a different machine to do that, although they can do that. And all three of these machines can make frozen fruit sorbet. So today, actually, I froze some ripe bananas. I peel them and then put them in a Ziploc bag. Actually, I pull the vacuum on the bag too. And then froze bananas, and you can just take out the bananas and put it through the machine with the blank cone or the blank plate. Or this one actually has a mincing attachment that you would basically put in instead of the juicing attachment. And then you could basically make a sorbet, kind of like frozen yogurt style consistency, like out of the machines at one of those fast food joints, right, that y'all used to have. I mean, I had when I was a kid. Do they even still have those? With just straight bananas or straight other fruits, right? And that's amazing. So this will help get you off ice cream because it's a perfect substitute. And of course, I encourage you guys to make fresh juice your go-to beverage instead of drinking something like soda or kombucha that's overly sugared, or other beverages, sweet beverages that you may drink. Green juices and vegetable juices are one of the healthiest things you guys could drink because not only are you getting the liquid hydration of the vegetable, which is purified water from the vegetable or the fruit that you are juicing, you're also getting a whole host of vitamins and minerals, and more importantly, these amazing phytonutrients. So, for example, I like to juice purple carrots. Purple carrots have anthocyanins, and in studies they show that the purple anthocyanins can have many positive health benefits within us. And it is all these phytonutrients in a variety of foods that can give us many different benefits. I mean, I juiced pomegranate the other day, and pomegranate contains polyphenols, which then makes the Akkermansia, which is a beneficial bacteria or microbe in our guts, basically grow even faster, right? And expand. And if you're not juicing pomegranate or other foods with high polyphenol content, only certain foods, then you're not going to have the Akkermansia. And they've correlated, high Akkermansia with being thin and not having diabetes. So if you don't have that Akkermansia, maybe you'll be more prone to being overweight, obese, and having high blood sugar or diabetes type 2 issues, right? So these phytonutrients are vital, and the juicers really extract those for you guys so you guys get those in the best way possible. Now, aside from making the frozen fruit sorbets, and my favorite frozen fruit sorbet is like frozen bananas with dark cherries and some wild blueberries that I get at Trader Joe's, frozen. Put those through and I make an amazing ice cream substitute that's super healthy because now I got all the phytonutrients in the cherries and the wild blueberries. You could also make nut butters with all of these machines. So put some roasted peanuts through these machines with the right blank plate or the mincing attachment on the Slowstar. You can make a crunchy style peanut butter with roasted peanuts. Now if you put raw nuts through these machines and expect to make nut butter like you buy in the store, it's not going to happen, guys, but you will make an like for example, raw almonds will make an almond flour because these machines just grind it up and there's not enough oil content to get that flour to stick together. So you could put it back through a couple of times, it'll start to stick together better. If you want to stick together even better, just add a little bit of oil to it. And then in addition, you know, these machines can process other things as well. You know, for example, the Green Star Pro could make mochi, you know, which are basically Japanese rice cakes. You could grind up cabbage to make your own sauerkraut, and you know, you could grind your own coffee beans. So many different functions all of these machines could do because they are multi-function units, unlike some other juicers out there that just are set up to juice. So literally it's like buying a juicer and a food processor all in one, which is probably one of the best investments you guys could make to turn around your health by getting more of these fruits and vegetables in your life, because most Americans simply just do not eat enough fruits and vegetables, especially the vegetables. A recent statistic I heard was that less than 10% of Americans eat the recommended 5 to whatever 8 servings of vegetables a day or whatever like that. And literally with just a couple of juices, I'm already cranked up to like 15 servings of vegetables a day. And you know, I like to try to eat as many vegetables as I can and displace the other foods. You know, I'd rather drink a juice instead of eat a hamburger or a hot dog or processed vegan foods or anything like that, because it's just real food. And that's, you know, why I sell juicers, because I know it can make a difference. I started juicing 25 years ago. I've been selling juicers since 1998. And, you know, I've heard so many testimonials over the years from my customers that have bought a juicer from me and that have changed their life to help them lose weight, to overcome different, you know, chronic illnesses and health opportunities that they may have, and turn that around by getting and flooding their body with more nutrition that the juicers can provide you. Now before I go on, I would like to say that if you guys enjoy my episodes, enjoy the content, if my videos have helped you, hey, please give me a hand and help me out too. How can you guys do that? You can do that by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. This is my website that directly supports me so I could make these videos, so I could buy my celery, so I could, you know, pay the electricity bill and power my lights and, you know, make these videos for you guys. So I'd appreciate that greatly, because if you don't support me, then I won't be here to share with you guys the truth that the manufacturers may or may not do. And you know, I'm not paid off by any company to promote their items. I like to test all the different major brand items because I juice myself and I want to know the best juicer out there, right? And you know, there's so many different nuances to juicing. Like if you're a lady, how many pairs of shoes do you have, right? If you're a guy, how many pairs of cars do you have sitting in the driveway, right? I mean, you might have a sports car to go fast and impress the women, but you might have that family van to, you know, take the kids off to the soccer game, and you might have a truck to haul all your 2x4s. And if you're a lady, you probably got a pair of high heels for that nice formal night out, but you probably have a pair of, you know, thongs, you know, to go, you know, slippers to go to the beach, because high heels on the beach will not work. You might have a pair of running shoes to go running. And you know, I see juicers just like that. I see juicers as different tools, and each tool is a bit different, and some will focus and juice certain things better than others. And that's why I have over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to comparing and contrasting all different major brand juicers, so that you guys can learn which one is the best for you. And I love doing this because I want to know which is the best for me, and at the same time you guys get a nice show and a little bit of education along with it. So I want to thank you guys for those of you guys that will support me, and I want to thank you guys who have supported me in the past, so I can continue my mission to educate the world about the power of fruits and vegetables and how you can include more of them by juicing, because I think it is so beneficial. Alright, so moving on with the video, I want to show you guys real quick how these machines work so you have a better understanding, and then we're going to go ahead and get into juicing the exact same amounts of celery in each machine, and we're going to time to see how long it takes so you guys can see what you're going to be up against if you want to do the medical medium celery juicing program that's from the testimonials I have heard, has changed so many people's lives. All right. That being said, I will also say that while celery is an amazing juice to drink, you can juice so many different other fruits and vegetables, and each fruit and vegetable has a whole host of different benefits to it. So I would say don't restrict yourself with just celery juice. Hey, juice celery straight in the morning if you want, and then juice some different juices throughout the day so you could have further health benefits besides just the benefits that celery can provide. All right. So first I want to explain the Green Star Pro. This is called a twin gear juicer. We could go ahead and easily take this apart. We snap these clips off. We pull this front out, and you will see this is the juicing screen that you will need to clean when you're done juicing. And then furthermore, we pull out these two stainless steel gears. I like that they're 100% stainless steel, and these basically just kind of rotate into each other. You put produce in there and slowly grind up and crush between these 100% stainless steel gears. They have pocket recess and these little cutting points that actually will shred up all the celery fibers, so that you don't have to pre-cut any celery. It runs this down, it grinds it up, then it has like a mixing stage where it mixes whatever you're juicing together, and then the final stage is it presses and squeezes out the juice before it comes out through this guy right here, which is called the outlet adjusting knob, which in general should be basically screwed all the way in because there is spring tension, and what this spring does, it basically puts tension on the pulp and not let the pulp come out until it's totally wrung out and dry. So I always screw this in to the max, especially when juicing the vegetables. And that's how this machine works. This runs at 110 RPM, so this can be considered a slow juicer. Also, as I mentioned before, it has far infrared and ceramic built into the middle of the gears. You're never going to see that because they actually pour this liquid in, and then they basically form the stainless steel around it. So it's totally inert. It's not going to leach into anything because your juice and your produce is just touching 100% stainless steel. When assembling this, the most important thing is there's two dots on the back of one gear and one dot on the other gear. You want to line this up and actually make this into a little triangle. And then you're going to basically insert this in to the juicer, and you may have to spin this a little bit, and then it's basically just going to seat all the way back in place. You're going to take your screen, put that on, and then take this outlet casing, put it on, and then you're going to basically put these two little locking things, click it back into place, super easy to assemble. Put this top on, and if you've assembled it correctly, you can turn the machine on, and it'll turn on running at a low and slow 110 RPMs. Moving on over to the Slowstar juicer. This is a vertical single auger juicer. This works a little bit differently. This has a nice larger feed chute of the three different machines. As you put the produce into this feed chute, it basically drops down into the juicing apparatus. So the first step is a 100% Ultim, virtually BPA-free auger that then basically has these two dual blades that kind of help to cut the produce up to some extent. It cuts off and chunks off pieces, and then it's sent down this auger. This auger is spinning, and the produce is crushed and literally squeezed out. The juice is pressed out because this auger is running inside this screen, and as the produce is crushed and squeezed, the juice then comes out the front, of the screen. And then we have this wiping blade that's spinning around. It looks like the windshield wipers on your car that basically squeegees the screen clean to help keep it cleaner. And then the pulp then must make a right angle turn. So it comes straight down, then it turns right, and then it actually exits out. There is a little silicone flap that needs to come out, for cleaning, and then you're going to push it all the way in for juicing. This flap does the same thing as the spring tensioner on here, but to a lesser degree because it kind of like helps keep in the wet stuff. But at some point it will give and let it out, unlike the stronger spring tension on there. And the issue with this is that when the pulp makes a right angle turn, if you're not pre-cutting things like your celery, kale, and collard greens, all these strings could get stuck up in here and then basically jam up the port, and then it could cause, a massive situation because then your machine is not going to be able to get taken apart easily, and it's going to put excessive pulp in your juice and just generally not work that well. So if you're interested in getting a vertical juicer, before you do, please watch my video, post the link down below. Juice like a pro in any vertical slow juicer. I'll go into all the different tips and techniques you need to follow to juice successfully in a vertical juicer. And if you want to do those, great, then maybe a vertical juicer is for you. But if you don't, then get a different style juicer so that you don't have to follow my specific tips, because honestly, juicing in these two juicers are a little bit easier. I got my parents and my brother a horizontal auger juicer because they're the easiest ones to use and clean in general, and really forgiving for the most part, aside from just juicing straight fruits that will kind of back up on you. All right. And then this has actually a nice spout cap, so you could actually do mixing in the bowl. Maybe if you want to do mixing of nut milk in the bowl. In general, I do recommend to leave the spout cap open because you'll get a little bit higher yield, because if you leave the spout cap closed, the juice will be swimming around in the dryer, in wet pulp, right? And so I don't like to use that except to prevent drips on the countertop when I'm done. Also, this is a nice little handle that can be used. So assembling this is quite easy. We're going to take the back handle and put it to the open side over on here, and we slide this into the lock position. We're going to go ahead and then take the wiping blade and put it right onto the screen. Then we're going to take the juicing screen and drop it in. There's a little white dot on top of the screen. We're going to line it up with a white dot on the back of the Slowstar. It'll basically kind of just drop into place. Then we're going to go ahead and take the auger. The auger just drops straight in, push it right down in there. And then you take this red dot, it says open and close, align with a white dot here, drop it in, and then turn it to close it, and it's going to lock into place. And if you've assembled this one correctly, you can then turn it on. This one runs at a low and slow 47 revolutions per minute. So this one might be considered the quietest, although it does make some kind of creaking sound as the wiping blade spins around. All right, let's see. Let's move over to the Solostar 4 juicer. This machine is an auger juicer, just like this machine, but instead of the auger running vertically, it's running horizontally. So there are benefits to this style, because now when you're putting in celery in this machine, no pre-cutting is necessary, because you put the celery in, basically gets grabbed by the auger and then has a straight shot to come out. So even the most biggest strings of celery will not jam up or clog this juicer like this machine that actually has to make a right angle turn as the pulp comes out, because this is making a right angle turn when you put it in. How this works, and this has the smallest feed chute of 3 different machines. I'd say the Slowstar has the biggest, then the Green Star Pro, because this has a 1.5 inch square, but this is a 1.5 inch circular feed chute. So the smallest feed chute. You put the produce down in the feed chute here, and then what happens on this guy is that this gets run into this 100% Ultim auger, once again virtually BPA free, goes in, gets crushed down, and then the produce gets crushed and squeezed and moved this direction down the auger, which is actually a unique shape, and then comes down and then actually has 2 distinct kind of pressing stages. Has an initial crush, that then the screen goes to, and this is the largest juicing screen on any horizontal auger juicer that I've seen. This will mean you'll likely get a higher yield on this machine than other horizontal augers. As a matter of fact, when I did test this against the Omega horizontal auger, this did make more juice for sure, because of the more screen area as well as the longer auger that basically was crushing and pressing out the juice for a longer period of time. And then it has a first set of screen here, stage 1, and then stage 2, and then finally the juice is then comes out the end here, which then it actually has to go through this little end cap, and then you have a little bit of adjustment on this little end cap right here. You could just basically put this, you could take it off if you want 0 back pressure, so if you're juicing fruits, and then you could basically put it on here and screw it in to give it the most back pressure to make sure your pulp is going to be as dry as possible. This machine is easily assembled also. You're going to take the feed chute, there's an open and close little lever on here, and we're just going to have it to open. We're going to put the main drum on here, put it to close. We're going to go ahead and take our auger. Auger goes straight back. Don't be alarmed when the auger doesn't seat fully back. Same thing with the Green Star Pro. There is a little gap between the motor body and the auger. Then the juicing screen, it says upper on here, and upper is always facing up. So you want to just face that up and slide it all the way back, and then you're going to take the drum cap, put that on here, and slide it in place to the close position, and we are all set up. And if you've assembled this correctly, you can go ahead and turn this machine on, and it turns on, and this one runs at 57 revolutions per minute. I will like to also say that this is probably the most efficient horizontal auger style juicer because it's a low wattage motor. This is very important if you're living in like an RV or want to take this traveling and run it off a power inverter. It draws the least amount of current and is the most powerful horizontal auger juicer that I've tested. I have videos on each of these machines. I'll put a links down below to the in-depth videos on each of these machines because I'm not going to go any more in-depth than I've already have on these machines if you are interested in learning more about it and the accessories that are included. The next step I'd like to do is we're going to go ahead and juice celery in all three of these machines so you guys can see how each of them work, how much yield it makes, and more importantly, how long it takes. Alright, now we're all set up, ready to juice. The first step is to do a weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. Let's go ahead and do a weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. Over on the Solostar 4 side, looks like we have 1168. And then over on the Slowstar 1168 and over on the Green Star Pro 11. Let's get all three of those in the shot at one time. As you guys can see, it's 1168 on all three scales. Alright, now that you guys saw we have a fair weigh-in, let's go ahead and remove the scales out of the way. We'll move some of these celeries out of the way because we have three juicers to juice with today. And I think first I will be juicing in the Green Star Pro. Now what I will be doing today is I will be timing that for you guys. We're going to go ahead and put the stopwatch up front and center there so you guys can see the time it takes to actually juice in the Green Star Pro. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on, hit start. I'm just going to take one piece of celery at a time and then I'm going to uncut, push the celery through the juicer. I have this cranked down to the maximum and it's going to juice, and then I'll probably just speed this up for you. You know, you want to go at a slow and moderate pace and don't just shove like 5 celeries down the chute at once, just one at a time until it's all the way in there, and then take the next one. Alright, so let's see, let's go ahead and put that back in there. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit the start button, and let's get juicing here. So just put one celery in, push it all the way down, and take the next one in, push it all the way down. So to save you guys some time, I'm going to go ahead and speed this video up and we're going to come back at you when I'm about done. Alright, so I think we're down to the last piece of celery in the Green Star Pro juicer. It's gone uneventful. Basically, I push one in and then I just push the next one in. And once you're done juicing in the Green Star Pro or other slow juicers, you want to let the machine run a little bit more until the pulp stops flowing out and the juice stops dripping down. I mean, pretty much the pulp, looks like the pulp has stopped flowing. So I think we're just going to go ahead and turn that juicer off and let it sit there. Alright, now what I'm going to do, because I got limited space on the table here, we're going to maybe try to move this out of the way carefully and slowly because the collection cup is quite full. And we're just going to go ahead and tip this, or move this a little bit forward, have a little more room on the table here. So it took about 3 minutes and 18 seconds to juice in the Green Star Pro. Let's find out how long it takes in the Solostar 4. Pretty much the same thing is going to happen. I'm going to use the pusher. Only use the pusher to push produce in the machine. We're going to go ahead and hit the reset here. And we're going to go ahead and hit the start. And we're going to go ahead and turn this machine on and put one piece of celery into the Slowstar at a time. Oops, and I need to get this pulp catch bin here. I'm going to put that underneath. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and push in each piece of celery into the Solostar 4. Don't be alarmed when a little bit of juice comes out of the outlet port just when you start. Once you get going, it'll stop pushing juice out the port until the passageway is filled with the dry pulp. We have this cranked down on the tightest setting to extract the most juice. Now, in order to save you guys some time, we're going to go ahead and speed this up, and we're going to come back at you when I'm all done. Alright, so down the last piece of celery in the Solostar 4, and actually this is pretty amazing. It made pretty much the same amount of juice as the Green Star Pro. Once again, after you put that last piece of produce in, you want to let the machine run a little bit longer. We're going to go ahead and check the stopwatch here. Oh, and that took 4 minutes and 44 seconds, so that took a little bit longer than the Green Star Pro. Not really surprising because it runs at approximately half the RPMs, so it does not accept things quite as quickly, although it pretty much made the same amount of juice. So let's go ahead and turn that baby off, and let's go ahead and reset. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and juice in the Slowstar juicer, and I'm going to have to maybe move this guy to the side here without spilling, because we will need a little bit more room on the table here, because I will need to pre-cut some of the celery as I'm juicing it in the Slowstar juicer for best results. If you do not pre-cut your celery, it can work, but it'll jam and not do a good job and probably give you problems taking it apart. So if you do get this style machine, once again, check my video down below. I made a video on how to make up to 20% more free celery juice by rejuicing your pulp in the Slowstar. If you guys want to learn how to maximize your yields and also learn the proper technique for juicing the celery. So I'm all ready to juice in the Slowstar juicer. I have a cutting board and a sharp knife and all my celery. So to keep the time even, I'm going to go ahead and turn this machine on. I'm going to start pre-cutting the celery into 1/8 inch or minimum 1/4 inch pieces and just drop them in. Now the amazing thing about the Slowstar is that I will not need to use a pusher to push the produce in. So as fast as I could cut it, pick it up and drop it in is as fast as it will feed in and get that celery juiced up for me. This allows me to literally multitask, so I'm not just sitting there, you know, pushing things in. I'm cutting as I'm dropping, and in the past it's worked out that actually doing it in this method allows me to even juice faster than the other 2 juicers. So let's see how we fare in this juice off. Let's go ahead and hit the start. Let's go ahead and turn this on. We're going to go ahead and grab a bunch of celery, and I'm just going to go ahead and chop that up. And as I chop it up, we're going to go ahead and grab our first handful. Let that get in there and get processed as I'm chopping up more. Let that juice, and then I'm going to cut more up, and as I cut more up, I'm going to go ahead and then drop it in there and let that get juiced up, and I'm going to go ahead and cut more and drop, cut more and drop, and we're going to go ahead and speed this up for you. We're going to come back at you when I'm about done. Alright, so I'm down to my last little bit of celery in the Slowstar vertical juicer, just chopping this up and dropping it. It's working pretty good. I kind of like this method, even though you must chop things up, you don't have to push anything in the juicer. So you have to choose if you would rather chop and drop, or if you would rather push each celery stick in. Personally, I would rather chop it up. I could probably have a better knife today, for like a chef's knife that would be more efficient at chopping things up. This knife was a bit small because it's more of a paring style knife. But as you guys can see, this is going beautifully. I can just literally take the celery and drop it in. And I find, especially on something like carrots, if you don't need to pre-cut it, this could save you lots of time, because if you drop a carrot in there, it'll just basically suck it in without you having to push it in. So you could work a little bit more quickly in the Slowstar. Now this only really matters if you're juicing larger quantities. If you're just doing an 8-ounce glass or 16-ounce glass, the time difference is not going to be significant. But if you're juicing large volumes, like I tend to juice like 1.5 to 2 gallons every time I get the juicer out, that's when you will save lots of time. So let's see, let's go ahead and hit stop here. So yeah, it looks like it took 4.48 minutes approximately. So maybe that's about the same time as the Solostar 4. So actually in this test, I'm going to have to say The GreenStar Pro was the quickest, probably because it runs at 110 RPMs, so it's accepting things faster and able to work a bit quicker with those dual gears working for you instead of these single augers, which actually in this situation took about the same amount of time. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and put this in the exact same measuring cups so we can actually easily compare the yield that we made in each juicer fair and square. Alright, so let's see if I can take this out, man, carefully, because these things are like super full without spilling. Alright, let's pour the GreenStar Pro juice out. Take your time, don't pour too quickly. This is the glass collection cup that actually comes with the GreenStar Pro. It actually has a nice pouring spout, provided you pour it at a nice, leisurely rate. It's not going to really, dribble out the bottom, which actually I don't really like too much. Looks like there doesn't appear to be a lot of pulp in this juice. Up at the end, there's a fair bit of pulp in there. That did seem to settle to the bottom. You guys could see a little bit of it in there. Next, let's go ahead and pour out the Solostar 4 juice. Once again, carefully removing this. And the Solostar 4 does come with the plastic collection cups. This is an extra collection cup that usually comes with the GreenStar Elite or GreenStar Pro. Pouring this out, all these juicers basically made very little foam on the celery when juicing, so that's really good. If you are juicing straight greens, as I said, in the GreenStar Pro, it will produce more foam, but if you alternate it with celery or something like carrots, then it will foam a little bit less. So let's see. Also, this machine at the end, you guys can see I'm pouring lots of pulp into the juice. In this specific episode, I'm not using a sieve to strain out the pulp, but based on just the pour, I would say that both the Solostar 4 and the GreenStar Pro made a similar amount of pulp. In general, the Slowstar usually will make the most pulp of these three. So let's go ahead. This is the cup that comes with the Slowstar normally, and we'll just go ahead and pour this. Maybe I'll pour it off the side. Pour it nice and easily. Alright, so now let's go ahead and give you guys a close-up on the yield to see how much juice each juicer made. Alright, now I want to go ahead and give you guys a close-up on the juices. Let's start with the Solostar 4 juice. Looks like it made pretty much right at a solid 800 milliliters, which is quite respectable. Over to the Slowstar juicer next. Looks like we made just above 800 milliliters of juice. Literally a tad above. And looks like over on the GreenStar Pro, once again, it's a tad above the 800 milliliters. So comparing the GreenStar Pro to the Slowstar, it's tough to call, but I'll say actually the Slowstar actually made a tad bit more juice. Now the other thing I want you guys to compare, maybe we'll move these around since we're not doing a measuring comparison, but I want you guys to look at the color difference. I don't know if you guys can see the color difference. Now we did juice the GreenStar Pro juice first, but like when I did do an auger juicer compared to a twin gear juicer, when juicing cucumbers, the juice was notably darker on the twin gear, and that's because I believe it pulls out and is better at grinding and pulling out more nutrition out of the juice. In this case, maybe the juice is a little bit more dark, but I don't know if that really makes any significant difference. If you guys look over here, comparing those two juices, the juices look more similar in color to me. I'm trying to look at the top there. The top is kind of more, not quite translucent, but you guys could see it's a little more clear on the top. And if we go over the GreenStar Pro, looks a lot more rich, right? It's not quite as translucent. Although that's the interesting thing. GreenStar Pro actually made a fair bit more foam than the Slowstar juicer did, and actually probably even maybe a little bit more foam than the Solostar 4. So yeah, backing it up, you guys could see clearly all three juices pretty much in the same range, so close in the total yield. Alright, so that was quite interesting on the yields. I mean, it was really close to call. So what does this show me? This shows me that all three juicers are fairly efficient at juicing the celery with minor nuances. So obviously if you want the most yield, then the Slowstar juicer would be your best bet if you don't mind pre-cutting the produce. This would also be a good bet, as I said earlier, if you want to juice a wide range of produce. Now if you want to juice something like carrots, then that's where the GreenStar Pro will really shine. It tends to juice root vegetables better than the auger style juicers. And as I will let you guys remember, that this juicer had the second most yield, and then follow that by the Solostar 4, made actually the least, but not by much, yield. Once again, this machine is best if you're going to juice celery as well as lots of leafy greens, wheatgrass, and even sprouts. Then you should go with this juicer. So aside from just the yields, I want you guys to think about what else will you be juicing. Of course, if you want to save the most time without having to pre-cut the produce, then the GreenStar Elite or the GreenStar Pro was the fastest because it runs a lot quicker when juicing, and saved about 1.5 minutes when only juicing this much celery, which is like 1168 grams or whatever it was. So that saves you 1 minute. And think if you're doing double the amount, that'll save you a couple 2 minutes or 3 minutes, right? So that was actually quite impressive to me. And then if you want to spend the least money between the Tribest juicers, of course the Solostar 4 is the least expensive of the three, and then followed by the Slowstar, a little more expensive than that, and then the GreenStar Elite and GreenStar Pro, are the most expensive of the machines. Now I want to show you guys what you'll need to clean when you're done. So we're going to go ahead and take apart these juicers. Let's see if we pull off the Solostar 4. You guys can see we got to clean the outlet knob here, or the drum cap, and then you got this juicing screen to clean, which has some pulp stuck in on this. This is the first stage, the secondary stage. Not too bad. Just scrub that clean, and then you have the auger to clean right here, and you can see a piece of celery that did not get juiced. This is relatively clean already as it sits. And then finally you have the feed chute, which basically what I do is I just blast water through here and it's clean, and I call it a day. On the Slowstar juicer, we'll go ahead and take this apart here, and you guys can see we have a top piece, lots of surface area on the bottom, and then we have the auger here. Maybe we'll pull this top set off. We'll pull the auger out. You guys can see there's a little bit of pulp on the auger, and there always will be some pulp underneath the auger, so don't be concerned about that. Then you have the juicing screen. There is definitely some screen area on the juicing screen you will need to scrub and clean. A little bit more screen area than, say, the Solostar 4, just because it's a lot larger of a screen. Then the wiping blade's fairly easy to clean as well. And then followed by the little bowl, which actually is not too hard to clean, but of course the Solostar 4 would be a little bit easier. Alright. And then finally the GreenStar Pro to clean this guy. It's not that hard, it takes me about 4 to 5 minutes. We're going to go ahead and pull this part. I usually just rinse this part off, usually not a lot on there. And then we snap these two little clips off. Then we can go ahead and pull this out, and as you guys can see, fairly clean in there. If you're using something like carrots, you can't get it more clogged up with pulp. And then as you guys can see, this is the screen you'll need to clean. There is some pretty good ground in pulp on here. I'd probably say this is more difficult to clean the screen than the other two, because there's a little bit more ground in pulp than, say, on the Slowstar juicer in this case. And that's probably because the GreenStar Pro does a better job at grinding things up into a smaller particle size. Smaller particles tend to get stuck in the screen more than larger particles that aren't ground down as much. The ground down particles will just actually come out. And then you have the two twin gears. You can see some pulp, ground up pulp, residue on there that you will need to clean out. And and then followed by this little housing piece that I basically use to just run water through there. It is also just fairly easy to clean as it sits, alright? So that's pretty much it, the end of this episode. Before I go, I wanted to taste test a juice, so we're going to go ahead and taste test the Greenstar Pro juice. I am pouring off the top. A lot of the pulp will sink to the bottom. I think all these machines will include a sieve if you want to strain out the extra pulp that was put in your juice. That is personal preference, whether you want to drink it or not. In some ways, drinking some pulp with the juice is beneficial, okay? It's a good juice, you know. I'm not tasting any pulp because, once again, I'm pouring off the top. Once again, all these juices I am pouring off the top. And I'll tell you if I hear, taste any difference. I mean, so far, the juices all taste fairly similar. Then finally, the Solostar 4 juice. Yeah, I mean, they all taste fairly similar to me. This is not the sweetest celery that I've juiced by any means. Alright, so that's pretty much the end of this episode. So what will I say? What juicer of these will I declare the winner at the end of this episode? That's a tough one to call. All these pretty much made almost the same yield, just by a little bit more. The Slowstar made the most yield, and actually if I had to pick a juicer, I'd say the Slowstar would be my personal choice because I like to, chop and drop in. Although if you want to save more time, the Greenstar Pro is the way to go. But that machine also costs more. If you want the easiest to clean juicer out of all these three in this situation, I would say the Solostar 4 is the best. Of course, besides what I'm saying, I want you guys to choose a juicer that's going to juice best, what you will juice most, and also choose a juicer that you like the process, right? You saw the different parts, you saw how to assemble them, you saw what you're going to have to clean when it's done, and you saw the yield, so that now you guys are a better informed consumer. I think in the end of this episode, I do like the Slowstar juicer the most, just because due to its flexibility, and I personally rather pre-cut and drop in instead of push each item in myself. I feel my time is better used. And be aware, if I was juicing carrots, I could just drop one carrot in at a time. I usually cut the top and the bottom off the carrot, drop it in, let that process while I'm chopping the top and the bottom off the next one to drop it in. It's going to save a lot more time because you do not need to pre-cut your carrots into small little bits like you do need to cut on the celery, as well as leafy greens such as kale and collard greens and Swiss chard. Even things like ginger should be pre-cut in the Slowstar, whereas they do not need to be pre-cut other than to fit in the feed chute in the Greenstar Pro or the Solostar 4. So that's up to you. So I mean, each one of these juicers has its own pros and cons. Now you guys learn the difference, and actually when juicing in these three high-end machines, there's not a lot of difference in yield. So whichever one you pick, you will be a winner with Tribest for sure. Once again, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. We do have a price match policy where we'll price match the delivered price of any other authorized retailer with the item in stock, so that we can earn your business, not only by these videos that I do to teach you guys about the different juicers, but also with the price if that is important to you. Although I encourage you to spend full price with us because that allows me to be more efficient, make a little bit more money, to continue my mission to educate people around the world about the power of fresh fruits and vegetables and how you guys could juice them in your own Tribest juicer in this situation. Also, be sure to click the thumbs up if you guys like this video. Please be sure to share this video with others out there, maybe that are on the medical medium program and wanting to find the best juicer for celery. They could surely watch this video and see how each of these juicers are a little bit different in how they work and how they yield when juicing celery straight. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on new upcoming episodes that come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel, what new juicers I'll be comparing, or maybe even a new vacuum blender that might be coming out by the end of the year. I love to share the different appliances with you and do these juice off tests because I need to juice myself, but also I could also learn at the same time. You guys learn by watching my videos, so I could become a better expert with the juicers, because nobody out there has the knowledge or depth of information or experience with all the juicers that I have, and I do my best to try to steer you guys to buy the best juicer specifically for your needs. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to comparing and contrasting all the different major brand juicers, as well as other appliances such as vacuum blenders and dehydrators that allow you to process and eat more fresh fruits and vegetables at home. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.